All right, let's talk plays of the week. Plays that I like setting up. Of course, this is not financial advice. This is just my thesis on what I think the market may do in the next week or two. So my first one is going to be NVIDIA calls. I'm very bullish on NVIDIA. I'm not seeing much downside on it. I like if it can break and hold that 128.85 mark, which it's sitting at 128, but let's give it, 75 more cents and see if it can hold there maybe tomorrow, which would be Tuesday. I'd be looking for the 130 calls on NVIDIA. If it happens to possibly drop down to maybe 121, I'd look for a rebound or maybe a correction on it to 125. If we're looking at this from a Fibonacci perspective, the golden pocket is sitting here, the yellow one. So we're really at about 121, 120 on a low end, but this is on the weekly time frame. So if we bring it to maybe the 4-hour time frame, we're going to see a whole different concept. So right now it's pretty much could pull back all the way to 109. I've seen NVIDIA pulling back to 109. Absolutely not. I do know that NVIDIA has earnings coming up in August, so we should see a lot of upside until those earnings at least come out. And even if we're looking at this, it is in a clear uptrend. So this is very, very bullish. Once again, I'm not thinking of puts at all. So no puts for me on NVIDIA, very bullish. All right. Next one is going to be Tesla. Let's look at it at a weekly perspective. Weekly perspective, very, very bullish. This is another one that I do not foresee puts being in play. I'm looking at going into calls if it can break and hold the 252.50, which it has. So this, we should be looking at 260 calls. If it happens to pull back within the next week, which would be, by like the 10th, then of course it would be a bounce off the 227, and then we still would be looking for 240. Overall, when we're looking at this on a weekly perspective, it's very bullish. This is a very, very bullish candle that it ended with last week, and then the week is just starting, which is Monday. But if we look at it on the 4-hour time frame, 4-hour time frame tells us sky's the limit. It was in a nice consolidating channel, May, June, and now it broke through mid-June and took off for July. So bullish on Tesla, but Tesla also has earnings July 24th. So be mindful of earnings. Either get into the trade before earnings and get out and sit and watch if you cannot handle the volatility that Tesla's going to bring. But overall, I think that this is very bullish and it'll be fine. So I'm also bullish on Tesla. So Tesla in the video, I'm already looking at calls. My next one, let's look at it on the weekly perspective. It's going to be Apple. Apple is another one that is very bullish, but I am very optimistic on puts coming into play, being that Apple has made a run for a few weeks now. So with that big run, it could be time for a rest. But like always, I have both options. So if it can stay above 216, which we're looking at the price now, it's at 227.56. We should be looking at 220 calls. Being that this is already kind of played out for this week, I would say that tighter you would go would be 230 calls. So being that it's already broken above my targets, look for 230s. I would say if Apple can stay over 227.50, then yes, go for 230 calls. If it happens to break from where it's at now down to 206, then we should be looking for 205 puts. I don't think that that's going to happen, but Hypothetically, if it does, look for the puts. So as of right now, I am still bullish and still in a few Apple calls. Apple, I would say, could touch 230 within the next 2 days. So there's not much wiggle room to get in on these options because, of course, they're weeklies. If you're looking for something that is on the 19th, wait for a pullback on that 19th contract and then go in for it so that you could get it somewhat cheaper. Right? Let's see what else we got. Meridian, Google. Meridian, Oxy. Meridian, Amazon. But Oxy is setting up very nicely already, as you can see. Our weekly lines, and it has broke last week's low. So I'd be looking for more puts on Oxy side. And if I was going to take on some puts, my target would be 55.87 for Oxy, 55.87 for the first drop target on it. Next one is gold. Gold is still in a borderline consolidation, so it's not anything that I would touch, but I am looking for calls on this. I don't know which strike I'm going to go for quite yet, but I am bullish on this as of right now. I will wait to see what tomorrow's market brings us, see how that trades, but I am looking for calls. And my last one is going to be SoFi. SoFi puts, I am looking at, if we're looking at this on the weekly time frame, this is what we got. And this is almost about to break last week's low. So I would be looking for $6 puts, make a few bucks on that. You know, obviously don't hold it forever, but make some quick dollars on it and get out. It's a slow mover, so you're not going to see, you know, much of a return, but it's still a win is a win. So I am looking at puts on SoFi. And then let's give one more. My last one is going to be Boeing. I like Boeing calls. So if we're looking at last week's candle, which is here, this is this week's candle. The market obviously just opened because it's Monday. Providing that this breaks above 189.56, I would stay and go into calls. If this happens to break and come down to 182.60, I would be looking for puts. It says here that Boeing has earnings on the 24th of July. So I'm going to go with there's going to be a run up until right before earnings, and then it's going to fizzle out. If we're looking at this overall in the charting world, technicality, we had a downtrend, which everyone can see. And we finally had a break off of that downtrend. So anyone that's in class with me knows if we have a break of a downtrend, we have a new trend that is forming. So we should be looking for it to form upward. A few pullbacks, but upward is where we're looking for. All right. So those are the plays of the week for Queen of Trades. Good luck, everyone, to your trading week. Trade smart and make some money this week. All right. Have a good one.